Hi everyone, my name's Sue Elson and welcome to 10 Ways to Improve Your LinkedIn Newsletters. This is part of the LinkedIn Insights webinar series, and in the next 30 minutes I'm going to go through and show you a variety of ways that you can improve your LinkedIn newsletters, giving you some specific tips as well as some relevant examples. So for those of you who haven't already, feel free to follow me on social media. You can just scan that QR code. Every time I run one of these webinars, I give you an update on my statistics just to show that it is continuously growing, and I'd love you to subscribe to me on YouTube. There's going to be some more short form video content coming out there in the future. So if you would like to mention where you're coming from in the chat, you can actually visit your LinkedIn profile, and via the More button, you can choose about this profile. You can actually do this on anyone's LinkedIn profile, including your own, and it will show when the person joins. So if you get some sort of random request about a person who would like to connect with you, you can click on that More button and find out if they've just recently joined, and that might impact what you would do going forward, whether you would choose to connect with them or not. I'd also like to encourage you to think of 3 things that you can do in 3 hours from now, because otherwise you will have listened to this webinar and not necessarily got any benefit out of it. So as a result of attending, I will be sending you a copy of these digital resources. So usernames and passwords, spreadsheet. Everybody who I've had as a client has said this has been the most valuable thing that I've given them. LinkedIn statistics and backup spreadsheet, social media stats, list of publications, sample resume layout if you're looking for work. And also I'm running a live in-person event, LinkedIn for Me and My Career or Business, that runs for 4 hours on Saturday, the 25th of November, 2023. And you, as I said, keep up to date with me on social media. For those of you who don't know me, I am a member of Golden Key International Honour Society, the Melbourne Press Club, Career Development Association Australia, Australian Society of Authors, Writers Victoria, Small Press Network, and Educate Plus. And I'm also the founder of Newcomers Network, which I started in 2001, and 120 Ways Publishing, which is my book imprint. So these are my 5 books. So this one the first 3 came out in 2016. The last 2 books are both finalists in the Australian Career Book Award. This LinkedIn book was released in January 2023 and is basically a step-by-step guide to how to use LinkedIn for your career or business, as if I was sitting next to you going through it all. So feel free to check out those as well. And if you would like an online course to help you go through the book, then you can do that in your own time, whenever it suits, via that link on my website. So I'd like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on where we're all based. This presentation is for people of all backgrounds. It's not professional advice for your personal circumstances, but I'd sure like to hope there's plenty of things that you can do with it. The slides and video recording link will be available. Share them as much as you like. That's perfectly fine. And you can leave your video camera off and your microphone on mute. I'm going to assume there's a various level of knowledge. And please pop your questions in the chat, unmute at any time, ask me. More than happy to help at any point during the presentation. And also, it's a bit like a dream when you go to a training session. As soon as it ends, you forget. So make a note of anything that you would like to follow up on. You can learn more about me on my sueelson.com website. You can see my past clients there. I would love to know what's been most helpful to you at the end of the presentation. So if you'd like to share that with me, that would be fantastic. If you are watching this after a significant period of time from the recording date, some of the screens may have changed on LinkedIn, so just be aware of that. And it's about 10 hours of work to bring this activity to you. So if you would like to say thank you, you can buy a book, follow me on social media, provide a LinkedIn endorsement or recommendation, or a Facebook or Google review. So these are the things we are going to get through in the next 30 minutes. Number 1, review your newsletter strategy. Number 2, publish on your website first. Number 3, create a mode for individuals. Number 4, newsletters for company pages. Number 5, search engine optimizing the content. Number 6, content inclusions. Number 7, promoting the newsletter on LinkedIn. Number 8, following up on followers. Number 9, following up on subscribers. And number 10, what to watch out for. So let's start with your newsletter strategy. So have you noticed that more and more people are unsubscribing from email newsletters, and that includes me as well. I just cannot cope with multiple emails, no matter how good the quality of the information is. I tend to unsubscribe and just follow my favorite people on social media. Less people do, well, they definitely don't want a PDF that they have to open and show on another screen and hope that the links work. They don't want to print something. Also, from a business perspective, why would you publish an email newsletter that's only ever seen once, if you're lucky? I would love to be able to have it as a resource that can come up in search results later, which was what LinkedIn newsletters offers. You want to be able to generate that lifetime value rather than the one-off value. And I set mine for the end of each month, and I basically just put in everything that I've achieved for the month. Also, as I mentioned at the very end, ask yourself, do you want to write an article or do you want to produce a newsletter? Because they are different things. So if you missed the session on 10 ways to improve your LinkedIn articles, that was last month and is available on my website. I find these easiest to create on a laptop or desktop computer rather than on your phone. And my strategy, if you take nothing else, take this. Publish the news on your website first, then put it on your LinkedIn profile and or your LinkedIn page as a newsletter, and then send it out via email as well. So that one piece of content gets 4 bites of the cherry. So number 2, publish on your website first. So here's a screenshot of the page of my website where all my newsletters are listed, because a lot of businesses, we don't publish them on the news on the website, you just send them out via email. But this way you have a permanent record. So if the mail program that you're using doesn't keep a copy, you've still got a record on your website. It provides that digital asset value that lasts for a lot longer than the time it takes to read it. You can have it as a flexible length. You're not sort of limited. You can insert images and videos. You can link to other content. You can include all the text formatting options. So I literally publish on my website, copy paste it into LinkedIn, then I add in the images because those images don't come across. On LinkedIn newsletters, you can also embed code. You can search engine optimize them just as you can on your website as well. And if you'd like to see that page of my website, just click on that link. So if you want to send out a newsletter as a person, you need to turn on something called creator mode, which is on your LinkedIn profile. When you turn on creator mode, you nominate 5 hashtags, topics that you want to talk about. And these are the 4 things that you get as a benefit of turning on creator mode. You get access to LinkedIn Live, to audio events, newsletters, and a follow link, which encourages people to follow you. So many of you would know on social media, it's all about how many followers do you have. So it's also going to change your blue connect button on your LinkedIn profile to a follow button. So you're going to have to let people know if they want to connect with you, they've got to click on more and then connect. So once you've turned that on, you can create your first newsletter, and the first newsletter that you send out will actually go to every single one of your connections, which is super exciting. So if you want to build your connections before you start, that's probably a good idea. And then from then on, whenever you produce a newsletter, it will go out as a notification in the person's notifications list. So you can check your creator status. You're going to have at least 150 followers. And there's an article there from LinkedIn about best practice. But what I'd like to remind you, which I really love about this LinkedIn feature, is that from now on, whenever someone connects with you, they will actually be invited to subscribe to your newsletter. So it's so automatic, so easy. You don't have to nag the person. You don't have to feel like you've asked them. It just automatically happens once you turn on that creator mode. Now, newsletters for company pages. These came along a little bit later, and now if you look at your company page, I have a company page in the name of Sue Elson. You'll see on the left menu newsletters, and you can see here I've put out 10 editions because that came a bit later than the personal newsletters. And obviously, once you click on that, you just choose create a new edition. So again, you need to have at least 150 followers. But what I love about this is the content stays with the company or the enterprise or the school rather than with the CEO or some individual. So it builds up the digital asset value of the organization, which I think is really, really valuable. And the only problem is that it doesn't have as much reach as it would if it was sent out as you as a person. So if you're a consultant in business, absolutely still do one as your person, as you, and then do another one as your company page. And again, let me know if you've got any questions or you would like me to ask me more details about this. Now, when you create your newsletter, you can search engine optimize it. So I have chosen not to optimize each individual newsletter. I've just decided to call them Sue Elson Sharing Newsletter Edition 23. Not super sexy, but I'm actually fine with that because I want people to know it is my newsletter and that's sort of the branding message I want to get out there. So if you decide to call it something interesting that could come up in search results, please don't go with the journalistic style interview that's some really catchy thing like this journalist article, Ridiculous Premiums, How Self-Insuring Saves Sue $5,000 a year. That is not telling you how to save money on professional indemnity insurance. It's fabulous, it's eye-catching, but it wouldn't work so well in a search query if I was looking to save money on my professional indemnity insurance. So keep those things in mind. And by the way, I'm incredibly grateful to Nina Hendy for putting that article out there because it tells my story, and it also attracted someone to buy 2 of my books, which I was super excited about. Now, in the production of your newsletter, you will see that you can click up here and click SEO settings, and you can put in the SEO title and you can put in an SEO description. So that's also going to Search Engine Optimizer. So what I've done in my description is just indicate what's in the newsletter. And what I also do, apart from the title of the newsletter, I copy paste that into the body of the newsletter and I put that in heading 1 font so that it optimizes that as well. Now, search engine optimizing is all about markup, which is jargon for making sure that it's not just plain text. You've put in headings, you've put in italics or bold or lists or code or formatting, because the more that you have that marked up content, the more likely it is to appear in search results. However, search engines get confused if you put more than 1 video in. So if you're going to pop a video into your newsletter, make sure it's only 1 video, but you can put as many images as you like in there. Please remember that a lot of people will be looking at the content on a mobile device, so lots of white space, not complicated columns and minuscule text or anything like that. Also, if you don't want it to be looking like it came straight out of artificial intelligence, you can include references and links, and that will boost it in search results as well. And make sure you include a call to action as well as obviously that white space and scan friendly. Now, what sort of things can you include? Well, as you can see here by the little menu bar, you can add an image, you can add in code, links, a line, quotation, numbered list, dot list, italics, bold, and that's your font, whether it be heading 1 or 2 or paragraph text. So the more of these little bells and whistles that you use in your newsletter, the more likely it is to be search engine optimized. I try and do pretty much the same thing edition after edition after edition so that people get accustomed to my format. But if I get some brilliant idea and I say, okay, this is what I'm going to do, it's fantastic. What I do is I say my 3 favorite words, which are from now on. So I don't worry about going back and editing all my previous editions. I just say, from now on, I'm going to put this particular component in my newsletter. Just be aware that if you copy the code from your website, you paste it into LinkedIn, the images don't come across. So you are going to have to manually add the images. But, you know, it doesn't take too long and you get lots of bang for your buck. Now, if you've gone to all that trouble of promoting your newsletter, you've got to make sure that people take some action. So this is the footer of my most recent newsletter over here. And you can see that I link to the LinkedIn version of my personal profile, the page version, subscribe to it, follow me on social media, put a little QR code to the contact page of my website. You've got to decide what is your call to action going to be at the end of each edition. If people make comments, make sure you respond to them as quickly as possible. If they're coming via the company page, though, you will have to check your notifications because it doesn't sort of automatically pop up in your general notifications, even if you're a super admin. You can add a tile to the featured section of your LinkedIn profile. So here's a little screenshot of the featured section. So I've provided a link to my personal Sue Ellson Shares newsletter, so people can just instantly click subscribe there, even if they haven't worked out, they didn't want to follow me or whatever, they can still just subscribe to the newsletter. And you can also invite your connections to follow the company page. So I'm just going to quickly show you how to do this. So I'll go to my Sue Ellson company page, and I know it's not directly newsletter subscribers, but if I go invite connections, I've got 250 credits. I can just go through and tick as many of these people as I'd like to subscribe to my, to follow my company page. And if they do, they will then be invited to subscribe to my newsletter. So that's another quick and easy way to perhaps build up the number of people looking at your newsletters. And also share it around. So obviously, when you have the opportunity, copy paste the link into your messages that you send to people on LinkedIn or whatever, and just remember to keep up the flames burning. Now, followers. Do you track your followers? So if you click on the My Network button of your LinkedIn profile, what you will actually see is you can click here and choose followers. So this was just done last night, and these people are following me. Now, if I wanted to, I could then say, all right, let's look at this person and see if I'd like to connect with them. And then obviously, if they're following me, they would have already been invited to subscribe to my newsletter. But this is another way to find more people who might be interested in what you do. And if you wanted to cross-match it with your list of subscribers, you could perhaps send them a reminder in a month if they missed the opportunity to subscribe. Personally, as a one-woman show, there is no way I would do that. But if your goal was business development and you had to try and get as many people interacting with your enterprise as possible, this is definitely an option. Now, the good news is on your company page, you can also find your followers. Now, I'm going to demonstrate this as well because it's not that easy to see. So I'll just go to the company page again. And when I look at analytics, I can click on followers, and you could say, oh, but I can't see my followers, you know, like there's nothing happening. So you actually have to scroll all the way down to the bottom, and you can see here that these are second level connections. I was super excited to see Kayla from LinkedIn following my company page. That was a bit of an exciting moment. But I could then go through and visit these people's LinkedIn profiles and consider inviting them to connect with me as well. So that's another way to sort of build up the audience and have that happening. Now, following up on subscribers. When you create a newsletter, it's going to tell you who your subscribers are. And because it's blue and it's linked, you can click on that and see it. Now, I don't think people who subscribe see it, but you can definitely go through that. And you might want to reach out to them and say, thank you for subscribing to my newsletter. Here's a list on my website of all my past editions. Would you like to connect? And that could be a way to build up your connections as well. So we are sailing through this content. I'm going to be asking you for questions and love to hear from you shortly. So start thinking what you'd love to ask. Now, I listen to a lot of content. I've got a YouTube premium subscription, and boy, do I use it. And one day I heard all about Judy Fox from Social Media Examiner, and she did this really great podcast on LinkedIn that I thought was really, really helpful. So you might want to check that out. You can also see what newsletters you have subscribed to by clicking on that link. And then you can see a really good example of the Business Accelerator newsletter here if you would like to see how somebody else does it. Now, back in the day, this link here provided you a link to every newsletter that was on LinkedIn, but sadly it stopped working. I'm hoping it comes back, so that's why I've popped it in the slides here for you. And this article had some really good examples and tips, and because I wanted this webinar to only go for 30 minutes, I obviously haven't gone through it all here. But as I said earlier in this presentation, when you go to write an article or a newsletter, it automatically defaults to writing a newsletter. So I have accidentally ended up creating a newsletter instead of an article a couple of times, and it's gone off like a rocket, and I'm thinking, oh no, it wasn't meant to go out as an article. It was a newsletter. It was meant to go out as an article. So when you go to start creating one, make sure on the left-hand side of your menu, you've got either article or newsletter as you so choose. So just keep that in mind as well. Now, the other thing that you can do is obviously keep a backup of everything you've done, and with the files there, you can copy paste everything into your publications list. And yeah, just remember, watch out for that issue with article or newsletter, because I've had that problem a few times. So what were your 3 faves from this presentation? Would you like to share them in the chat? Would you like to ask a question? I would love to hear from you. In the meantime, if you would like to go back and look at any of the other LinkedIn Insight webinars that I ran, they were hour long back here, but this year I've moved to the half-hour version. So you are welcome to check out any of those at any time. There is no login, there is no fee. You can watch them at any time. You're also welcome to share them with whoever may find them helpful. I've even had schools reuse them on students and stuff. So more than happy to share my content around. Don't forget, I do have an online course to help you with your LinkedIn profile. And for everybody who attends, I will email you these digital files just as a thank you for showing up, because let me assure you, a lot more people register than actually turn up live. Obviously, I would like to reward that behaviour. So I'll be shooting those across to you later this afternoon. If you haven't already, feel free to follow me on your favourite social media platform and check out my books, sueelson.com/books. And there are heaps of extra resources available. This week I was on national television, Today Extra on Channel 9 for the 15th time, talking about the 4-day work week. I also was interviewed by 3AW Radio yesterday. So there's lots of little snippets of all sorts of interesting things that I do on my website that you can check out for free. No login, no filling in forms, nothing. You just go and you're done. Now, I have thankfully received 140 Google reviews, which I greatly appreciate, but I also use Microsoft Edge as a browser, and I use Bing as a search engine, and that requires Facebook reviews. So if you have a moment to provide a Facebook review, that would be extremely helpful to me. So I would definitely appreciate that. Just something that was helpful from the webinar would be fantastic. So I'm going to end the slideshow and you will pop up on the screen. If you don't want your face on the camera, please turn off your camera now. And I would love to open the floor to questions. So here we go. Anybody have any questions? Just feel free to unmute or raise your little hand if you'd like to do that. Nice to see you here, Dave.
Hello, Sue. How are you?
Very well.
Oh, look at me. I've fallen on my feet again. I'm staying in this gorgeous Airbnb in Merbau North in Victoria.
Oh, how lovely. Well done.
Yeah, it's gorgeous up here. But sorry, I digress. I was just about to pop something in
Chat, yeah. Well, ask
chat.
live
Yeah.
if you like.
I think creator mode's something that I've heard about on LinkedIn and been sort of umming and ahhing and, can't be bothered, not enough time sort of stuff. But it was interesting to hear you mention it again today and what the advantages might be that you really do. So you do so creator mode is mandatory for creating newsletters on LinkedIn. Is that right?
It does. So you can also do LinkedIn Lives, but you need a special streaming program to do that. If you ask me, too complicated. Like, I like my life to be simple. So I don't do LinkedIn Lives. I run events. I do the Zoom event. I do the recording, then I share that. So that's the way I do it, because I like lifetime value of everything. A LinkedIn Live does stay there, but it doesn't put it on YouTube automatically unless your streaming service does. It just gets complicated. So I try and streamline everything in that sense.
Oh, that's
LinkedIn audio events are another great feature, and that's fine for you. You're an audio guy, but it doesn't keep a copy of them. So it's all live. And so unless somebody turns up at exactly the time you're running it, yeah, I don't like the lifetime value component there. And the follow thing, well, anybody can create a follow button, so that's not a huge thing. But if you keep increasing your followers and you're putting those hashtags in your posts, then that's going to boost your identity and your reach in your content that you share. So that can be very helpful as well. Yeah.
Oh, that's great advice. Thank you very much.
But I will sort of say, though, if you're not prepared to produce content on a regular basis, don't turn on creator mode and don't have newsletters, because, you know, for the average punter, if you're not going to do something, I'd say at least every 2 months, then forget about it and, you know, stick to your other nitty things.
Oh, that was interesting. That was one of the other questions I was going to ask you, was whether you had a sense for finding the sweet spot for frequency with your newsletters.
Yeah, look, when it first came out, a lot of people said, oh yeah, I'm going to do it every week, or, you know, twice weekly or whatever. But boy, oh boy, it's a lot of work to produce content. It's not something that just happens automatically. I mean, every time I do an interview on television, I'm on air for somewhere between 3 and 4 minutes, and it takes 10 hours of work, because I have to do research, the questions, I have to try and memorize the answers, which I'm not good at all. Then I've got to get to the studio, hair and makeup, go on air, come back, try and not lose my, you know, grip on reality, publish it on my website, share it on my socials. You know, it's 10 hours for 3 minutes of content. But I'm very, very grateful for the opportunity, because there's many other things that I've got as a benefit out of doing that. So
Sure,
yeah, it's not something, but it's not for the faint-hearted, and it is a lot of work.
Very true. And I think it's interesting you commented on audio events on LinkedIn, and number one, that, you know, that sort of criticism which they seem to want to keep on facing, that they can't be recorded. I mean, you can record them, of course. You can record them on your own machine. You can just have a screen recorder and just do it. But it's not quite in the spirit of letting people know they're going to be recorded. But that's the only advantage I can see in not having those events recorded, is that people will perhaps feel a little more, you know, a little more not so backward in
Engaged.
coming forward, because they don't feel that kind of red light fever where it's, oh, I better be careful what I've said, because, you know, this will be here
Yeah.
forever.
No, I absolutely hear you. And when Clubhouse first came on, I
Mm,
couldn't turn it off. And, like, you know, at 2 o'clock in the morning, I'm still going, zzz, you know, because it was such a thrill to have these live conversations with people.
yeah.
But the reality is, I just don't have the time. So, and for me, you know, I think a lot of people feel overwhelmed with how many choices they have. So I would rather produce content that people can access when they need it,
Mhm.
and sort of let it go from there. So
I think that's a really
yeah.
good idea. If I could just offer a very tiny tip just to finish off, is that you mentioned the difficulty with the streaming service, because you need to do your audio event through some sort of streaming service. The
The
one that I
LinkedIn Live
found,
event, yeah.
yeah, the one that I found is the best. The one that has been sort of touted around the place is StreamYard.
StreamYard, yeah.
StreamYard is quite awkward to use, but to my friends at my unpaid friends, this is not an advertisement. Riverside FM are a terrific service. So they do video and audio, and they do streaming. And it's a
Great.
nice, simple interface, and it's very easy to use. So
Right. So StreamYard and Riverside FM. Thank you for those tips. That's excellent. Thank you,
have a good
Dave.
chat.
Yes. And Sue, welcome. We were communicating last
Hello.
night. Now we're live online today.
Hi, Sue. Yeah, no, great to meet you in person, and thank you so much for all of your help and advice. I really appreciate it. I just have a quick question following on from what we were saying yesterday. In terms, obviously, with what we're looking to do with the newsletter is I have a client that really wants to do this, but currently has that personal profile page. If we change it to a business profile, is it really easy to just invite all of the followers from his personal profile across? Like, is that quite an easy thing to do?
Yeah. So first of all, you have to be a person, and a company profile is something different.
Yeah.
It's not the same thing, and you can't switch between the two. So I'll just share my screen again and
fabulous, thank you.
Show you what it is. And of course, this will be on the recording as well if you need to come back to it.
Great, thanks.
So, and I did mention this in the webinar as well, so it's a bit of a refresh. So here is me as a person. So if I click on LinkedIn and I click on my photo, that's me as a person. And this is where creator mode is here, and that's being turned on, and that's where I produce my newsletter. Now, the company page comes from the Me menu. So if they haven't already created a company page, you actually have to go over to here to the For Business menu and choose Create a Company Page. Once you've created that, you then go here, because that's where the company page will appear on the menu. And this is now your company page. And you can see I've got 840 followers. So if your client wants to invite their connections from their personal profile to follow the company page, they just use this button over here, Invite Connections.
Invite Connections are perfect. Thank you.
As I did in the webinar, I invited 2 people to follow me. And that still gives me 248 credits for the rest of the month. Now, if those 2 people accept, then I'll go back up to 250 credits again. So you can just manually go through these people and slowly build it up over time. The reality is, even with prompts, reminders, requests, lots of people don't do this kind of stuff. So that's why I don't chase people. I don't have the time to do that.
No,
so I just always publish on my personal profile and on my company page and on my website and on email. I just put the same content on
everywhere, which is fantastic to do. He won't have the time to do his page, and that's where we're at, is trying to and I think from everything that you kindly said, this is the way to go, is that we need to do a business page for him and invite the connections across. And then that way he can pick up and grow the audience there. It's obviously just going to take a little bit more time than we initially thought, because I was just a bit confused because I've obviously got mine set up as a business page, and I'm like, I can put an admin in. Why can't you?
That's right. So obviously, filling in all the details on the page is important as well. But I think it's under settings now. They've moved everything around recently on company pages. But your client could add you as an admin, and then you could invite your connections to follow the company page.
To follow it as well.
So
great.
That might help. But I mean, if the person starts getting 10 requests from you to keep following the company page, that's going to annoy them. I haven't been able to work out whether once you've sent a request, whether it remembers it or not. So that's a little bit annoying. So you might need to keep some screenshots of the people you've done, or copy their names or something like that. That's the only issue I have with it. But if you remind people on a regular basis to do things, then that can help. The other thing is, here in your messaging box, what you can do is you can set up an away message. So that means every time somebody sends you a message, there's this little thing here that they can see. And so I just automatically, every time somebody messages me, Sue Elsa aims to respond within 24 hours, watch a free webinar there, or learn more about my services there, and save. Now, it doesn't last forever, so I've only got mine up until the 9th of January next year, but it means that every time I get a message, people are getting that response. And so that's a good way to, keep the home fires burning as well.
That's fantastic. That's really good, isn't it?
Another helpful.
Great. That's awesome. Thank you so much, Sue. Really
most welcome, Sue.
Amazing. Thank you.
Looks like you've got a very nice outdoor spot to work from there.
Yeah, so I thought I'd pop outside for this actually, as it was relatively quiet at the moment. So.
No crazy birds.
It's nice to take a break from the office every now and then.
It is, for sure. Thank you. And Lindy or Tracy, do you have any questions, or have you just been happy listening? All good? All right. Well, we've hit the 12:34. So if there's no other questions, thank you for joining me, and see you all online some other time. Thanks, and bye for now. Oh, thanks, Sue. All good, lots to learn. Yes, thank you, Tracy. And there was another comment in the chat, beautifully informative and inspiring as usual from Dave. Thank you for that as well. Okay, thanks. Bye.